Alrighty guys, are you looking to sell your house in the near future in 2026? Well, in this video today, I am going to take you through what actually adds value when selling your house in 2026. This is going to encompass what's worth making the changes to and what might be a waste of your time. We're going to have some numbers and we're going to look at it from a pretty strong standpoint of, hey, what's going to have the biggest return on investment for you, right? But if, of course, you need to learn a little bit more, if it's not like exactly what you need, let me know, give me a call, shoot me a text, and let's talk about what your house actually looks like to make sure that we get you in the right direction to make the right moves, okay? But let me know what you guys think. If you sold a house, if you've never sold a house, let me know what you think is the best improvement to make so that you get the highest value. Or if, let's say you're a buyer, what are you looking for as well? I'm very curious. It always helps me be better in my job, so please let me know. But let's jump into the video and let's get into it. What's going on, guys? If you're new to the channel and you want to know all there is about living in Cleveland, Ohio, or you just want to know about real estate nationally, locally, whatever it may be, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so that you can stay up to date on all things Cleveland and real estate. My name is Kip with Living Cleveland, Ohio, powered by Mancuso Homes, eXp Realty, and we get calls from buyers and sellers just like yourself every single day looking to make a move in 9 or 90 days, whatever it may be, and we're here to help make sure that it is a smooth, enjoyable transaction, helping you in any way we can. So make sure, hit the link in my bio, schedule a call, more so, shoot me a text, give me a call. If you're local, let's meet in person. Let's do something to connect so I can help you make that transition. Even if we're not the right fit for somebody or right fit for one another, let's make sure we get you in the right direction nonetheless. All right, so I'm looking forward to hearing from you, speaking with you guys. But in the meantime, make sure to go, do a friendly stalk on my social media, KipSweeney_RE, if you want to learn a little bit more about me, my personality, and who I am outside of the real estate world. But nonetheless, let's jump into this video, and I am very curious what you guys think is going to be the biggest key takeaway from this video. So let me know in the comments below. All right, let's jump into it. All right, first and foremost, what are we doing here today? Why does this matter? Well, not all the renovations pay off. A lot of sellers think that if they paint this wall, if they change this cabinetry, if they update the bathrooms, they're gonna get a massive increase in their home sale and what they can actually sell it for, what they can put it on the market for. But sometimes it really doesn't pay off. Maybe you spend a lot of money and the value add to that isn't enough to really get you where you wanna go. I'm telling you now, there can be times where, yeah, sure, they do have a very strong value add, but there's also times where maybe you wasted money. And that's not what we want. We want to make sure that you're getting top dollar for your property, for your house, and making sure you're doing it so with the right corrections, the right moves made. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's take some strategic, data-driven plan to make sure that you're getting the base. So a lot of this data is going to be from Zillow and from other sites, ROI studies, things of that nature, so that we can actually use proper data to figure out which improvements are going to consistently add value and return to their cost, while others might fall short or actually hurt your bank account. All right, so we always want to plan with a strategic, data-driven strategy to get the home sold, and that's what we're going to do today in this video. All right, so let's get started. So as a quick preface, I believe we all would understand what return on investment is, but for anyone that might not know, it's going to be the return on what you invested into your property. For example, if you spent $10,000 on $10,000 on a bathroom renovation on this project, what are buyers willing to pay for that? So is it going to be a $12,000 increase that buyers are willing to spend because of that? And if so, then that's what, 120% return on investment? That'd be pretty nice, right? So then the flip side of things, if you spend $10,000 on that same project, but the buyers only view that as an $8,000 increase, well, then that's only an $80,000. That's only an 80% ROI, return on investment. So meaning you actually lost money on that project. You lost money on that, and it wouldn't really be a strong fit. So just as a rule of thumb, avoid spending more than about 30% of your home's market value on renovations. because more than likely you're not going to recoup that money and it's going to be a waste at that point. All right, guys, so a lot of these might surprise you. They surprised me a little bit actually as I looked through the list, but let's talk about the improvements that statistically add the most value and not just look nice. So starting with number one is going to be a garage door replacement. So the numbers show that the average cost is about $4,600, but resale value comes in about $12,500, meaning you have an ROI of about $267,000. Now, this is something that, you're going to consistently find the highest ROI on this. It's the national cost versus what the value reports. So this is something that we're seeing be very important to buyers. And I mean, when you think about it, I guess it does make sense too, because it's going to be the first thing that you really see. Now, the question is how damaged or how beat up does that garage door have to be to need to replace it, right? So that's also something to take into consideration, get some different opinions on. But in essence, what this means is that for every $1 you spend, you could add more than $2 back to your home value. So that's pretty good. Number two is a steel entry door replacement. Now, this was one that I was actually kind of surprised by, especially being number two this high up. But what the numbers show, we have an average cost of $2,400 with an average resale value of $5,300. So that's a 216% return on investment. And I mean, I guess depending on where you are, it does make sense. I mean, in Cleveland, does that fit? I don't think so necessarily, because this new, curb appeal matters, but the mindset that kind of comes sometimes with the steel door can hinder yourself in Cleveland a little bit, whereas I know other places it's very, very normal. It's very usual. It's very common, right? So in Cleveland, would this have this type of return? Probably not. Now, it's something that's actually very important to note because these are going to be national numbers, right? So it's not just numbers that might make sense for your area. That is going to still be based on, hey, what do we see in your specific area? So that's why it's always important to ask questions, right? So that's why take these obviously as important factors, but maybe not the tell-all for what you need to do and what's going to be best for your specific house and the location. But number three is going to be manufactured stone veneer or exterior accents. So the average cost for this project is about $11,700 and the resale value is about $24,300. So your return on investment is 208% about. This is going to be a nice return. I mean, this gives a great facelift to the exterior and it just makes your home look more substantial and modern. But now, again, think about it again from the standpoint of where's your house? What's your neighborhood? What's it look like? What are people buying, right? So sure, it might make it look exactly like what you want, but will buyers like it? Is the neighborhood built for it? And so on. Number four, the cement siding. The average cost for this is $21,400. Resale value is $24,400, so we're getting kind of close. The return on investment is 114% about. So not bad, but we're starting to get kind of close to break even. Would we want that? It's a lot of money just to get that return too, so keep that in mind. But this siding does definitely refresh the whole house. I mean, it improves your insulation and can definitely help the energy efficiency. Do buyers take this into consideration? So again, this list these aren't mine. These are actual lists nationally. So would I do this? Probably not. Buyers don't go into a house and think, oh man, this insulation is awesome. This fiber cement siding just makes the world of a difference. Not really. I mean, they don't even consider that. They don't even think that. I don't think I've ever seen even a listing say this. So even though it's number 4 on the list, I wouldn't really call this an issue. Now that's Cleveland here. I don't know. Tell me if you're someone that's in an area where this is critical, this is important, I would love to know. Let me know. But in Cleveland, Ohio, and in Ohio in general, you're not seeing this as a huge upgrade. All right, so number 5 is going to be a minor kitchen remodel. So average cost about $27,500. The resale value about $32,100. So about a 112% return on investment. So the key here is keeping this minor, right? So we're updating cabinetry or counters or floors and fixtures rather than a full teardown. We don't want a big full kitchen rehab. I mean, unless it's needed, unless it's going to warrant that. But in this case, what we're talking about, why it makes number 5 is because we're talking about a minor job. So keep that in mind. But yeah, 100%. I would say pretty much anywhere. I think that one is probably something that would transfer pretty nationally, in my opinion. I think everyone looks at that. That's a very critical and important thing, right? How much time do we spend in the kitchen? Quite a bit. Whether you cook or not, you're still walking in that kitchen to get your food, walking into the pantry, whatever else. So let's make it comfortable every morning, go to the sink, blah, blah, blah. So it is important. People want to feel good. People want the space, and you definitely can help bring in a lot of money with that kitchen remodel. So keep that in mind. That one is a good one. I like that one. I knew it was going to be here just by default, right? So keep that in mind. All right, so now we're going to talk about some mid-range improvements that you guys should consider. These won't necessarily come with the biggest return on investment, but what they're going to bring is a much more marketable home, a home that's going to bring a lot more people through, which with all the other upgrades or other things done, it might actually bring a much larger return, because if you can get a lot of people there, we're going to talk about getting multiples, and one thing leads to the next, you're usually going to get a better offer. Now, pricing takes a key role in all that, but that's for another time. However, these things, these adjustments, these renovations, not renovations, but these updates, upgrades, are things that people don't really consider or look at as a buyer necessarily, but it keeps their attention. It keeps them looking at those photos and looking through, and they still enjoy the house. There's not something where they're looking, it's looking, it's all looking great, and then, oh, what is this? And then, it kind of goes downhill from there and then on to the next, right? So we're grabbing that attention with these, and we're getting people to come to open house, a showing, whatever it might be. So it's going to be a lot more marketable, which, you can't say that this is going to create the return, but it very well might. But this is going to be number one, bedroom updates. So we're talking about updating bedroom, hardwood flooring, new carpeting, quality laminate that can add just a lot in perceived value in what people see when they tour your house, when they look. Now, carpeting can be a little bit more expensive, but depending on what you have and what's already there, so maybe it doesn't need to be changed out, but if you have stains, you have to either get those out or price appropriately for that, because people are going to like that, right? So the bedroom updates, you can also go ahead. Again, it's a little bit more costly, but for the most part, you can paint too. I mean, if you have a crazy color going on, if you have crazy design, then sure, maybe just make it neutral to help, right? So if it's a room that's a little smaller and it's a dark color, don't leave it dark. Change it to a brighter color, a white. Let's add to it so that the room appears to be a little bigger. Let them measure. Are they gonna measure? Probably not. So keep that in mind. Next one, bathroom updates, bathroom refresh. So for the most part, a mid-range bathroom remodel often returns about 70 to 75% of the cost. That's according to Zillow. So the way they view this, they say bathrooms are one of the rooms buyers look at most carefully, so updated finishes, lighting, and fixtures can make a big impression. Sure, I do think, I'm surprised by the lower percent of that, but I do think bathrooms are huge. And you have to keep in mind the functionality as well when you go ahead and do the bathroom. So making that upgrade and the updates are critical, but also making it very comfortable for them, ensuring the proper light, ensuring, the right tub or shower, making it look a little nicer, modern, updated, whatever it may be. And something to also note, keep in mind that a huge component that you want to make sure you have, because sometimes you go to these houses that have one bath and it's a step-in shower. That's a problem for a lot of people. Not saying it's a turnoff, but the amount of times that I've had clients that have kids that are still at a young age where they need a tub is endless. And it's never going to change, right? I mean, you're not, how are you going to change that? You're not. So you need to ensure, if you have multiple baths in a house in your cellar, don't upgrade everything to be a step-in shower. Do not make that mistake, because you are going to push out so many people, so many buyers that might have considered your home, but functionality wise, they can no longer, because they need a bathtub for their kid. And if they're going to pay all this money and then have to change it, usually they won't, when there's going to be other homes that have a bathtub that might need some updating in the bathroom. So again, keep that in mind. Don't make that change. Don't take out the bathtub completely out of the house. It is something that you want to include. So make sure that it is still there. That's just my 2 cents from my experience. All right. So now let's talk about just the projects that don't often pay off. So not everything is always going to work out, and we sometimes jump the gun, or we do more than we think because we believe it's going to create this immense value, but it's not always the way. So for example, one would be a major kitchen gut job with structural changes. Now, the reason why I would say this isn't necessarily the way to go, because typically it's not going to bring that value. It depends. It definitely depends. but it's going to be a costly change, especially when you're changing the structure. But at the same time, depending on everything, if you're turning the home into a, updating it to the current market trends and what buyers are looking for, open layout, things of that nature, then it could pay off. But again, do that research before you jump into that. But still, a major gut job, especially changing the structural integrity of it all, it's going to be a lot more than I think it'll pay off for sure, because nobody knows what it was before, obviously, and it's not going to create the biggest upgrades for sure. But at the same time, personal upgrades, that's going to be the biggest thing. Just because you believe that you're going to like this upgrade because you think that this is going to be a good addition or it's what you would want, it doesn't mean everybody wants it, right? So don't always think about, okay, if I make this change because I like it, that the other buyers are going to. Sometimes it can be a hindrance to make some of these upgrades and upgrades to find out that buyers don't like your taste, and it's pushing people away, right? So with this being said, if you do some of these things, if you do want these, then make sure you are, running it by people. Make sure it is a neutral design, colors, additions, things of that nature. But as well, high cost additions to the house, there's no need for them. I mean, whether that's, bringing in an appliance to get someone to buy, or things of that nature that's just going to cost you money but people don't value, it's not going to cut it. So don't worry about those things. A lot of the time people are looking at their own stuff that they need to bring in. Buyers looking how they're going to set up their own furniture, and they always understand, most people, that some of the part of the buying process comes with having to still do some updates or to change some things around to make it theirs and to personalize their own. So as a seller, we don't want to try to take that away from them by doing it ourselves. All right, so let's talk about curb appeal, because that's huge, right? This is the first thing buyers are going to see, and they're already judging the house before they even step inside. So in those first 7 to 10 seconds of pulling up, looking at the house and checking it out. So what is going to help you the most? Landscaping and lawn care. So simple maintenance and tidy yards can drastically help improve. So I'm not saying go out, plant all this stuff, but hey, make sure that it doesn't look dirty. Keep mulch in line. Keep it packed. Ensure that you're not looking at a ton of dead plants and dead flowers and overgrown bushes. Just keep what you have, but make it nice. Make it neat. Make it neat. How would you want it if you were to move into the house, right? So that's going to help them feel a clean home. It's going to help feel clean, pretty. They're going to really embrace that style and really enjoy to see that. It's going to create a high energy for them to go into the house and to continue that, right? We already got a good first impression, where instead of having them thinking, what's the rest of the house going to look like if the outside looks like this, right? So key, we want to make sure we're going into the house on a positive note with them. Exterior lighting and clean walkways. So sure, this helps make them feel welcome and safe. The lighting, a little bit more difficult to see, but don't take that out of consideration, because there's a lot of buyers that, there's a lot of things that go. You can do nighttime open houses, right? Which are awesome because they can see the lighting, or B, they can see what that experience is for their drive in maybe after work, or their drive time in the evening when maybe it's a little busier and so on. But secondly, a lot of buyers, especially when I have buyers that are not familiar with the area, I tell them, hey, location is critical, because they can't take that house and move it. They might love the house, but if they don't like the location, if they don't like the drive, if they don't enjoy the neighborhood, that's an issue. So I tell my buyers to constantly take different times of the day and to drive past that home just to see, hey, what's it like from, the house to this, the house to work, the house to, my favorite restaurant. And also, what's it like at those times? What's traffic like? What does it feel like in the neighborhood? How do I feel in the neighborhood? Those are important factors. And if your house is well lit and landscaped, every time they drive by it at whatever time, it's going to feel good. They're going to really enjoy it. They're going to smile when they pass by it. They're going to really be interested. I'm moving fast. And then of course, fresh paint on the exterior. Sure, that's going to be a little bit more costly, definitely. But if you can at least make sure that most of the house is taken care of, or it's just updated, some of the points that might have been a little touchy are taken care of, that's going to go a far way. Because if someone looks at the house and again, they see, oh man, this is happening, or this is happening, we have to take care of this. They're starting to add up money, numbers in their head. And if they choose to move forward with you, I certainly guarantee that those numbers that they added up from what they see on the outside is going to be taken off of that purchase price. Now, we don't want that. We want the highest dollar. So why are we going to scare them? Not scare them, but why are we going to get their calculator in their head going from the get-go, from when they just first walk into the house, or not even yet, when they first walk on the driveway, right? And then of course, window and door updates. So newer or modern windows appeal because buyers know that they can save energy on this. So yes, I would definitely agree with that. Not the concrete from earlier, but the windows do go a far way. Now, do you have to replace every single window? You should be selective because it's costly, but it does go a far way with windows. It is constantly something that people look at, always, but along with the updates, make sure they work. Make sure screens are in place. They're locked in. Make sure the window slides comfortably and is able to be used. The amount of times that I've been in houses that the window does not actually work, or it's so sticky, it's stuck, and it's like, it's definitely a negative. It's obviously not going to be the determining factor if they wouldn't move forward, but it is something that they're going to continue to consider, right? So let's make sure that we don't give them a reason to walk out of there with anything negative, all right? What else did I want to say about that? Door updates. Make sure the door closes fully. Make sure the door opens fully. Again, if you do update a door, make sure that it depends on the house, but the amount of times I've seen a door where I can only get it about 45 degrees open because it starts to get stuck on the floor. I mean, come on. You put that door in, like, let's pay a little bit more attention to that. I understand that there's not always something they can do because if they shave at the bottom, it's going to look crazy, but still, we want to make sure that we're planning accordingly for this if necessary. I get it based on the housing, but house, the age, all that, the condition, but this stuff goes a far way. All right, so we spoke about the national numbers. We spoke about what things look like for the most part in a national manner, and obviously everything is needed to be taken in your own situation. What does it look like for you, where your area is, and what's going to be the best? But let's talk about what Cleveland buyers value the most, because obviously that's what I do, that's where I am, that's who I help. And if you're not from Cleveland, no worries. I can definitely link you up with an agent in your area that is top of the game. So don't worry, just let me know. Shoot me a text, give me a call, or put it in the comments below. We still need to touch base because I couldn't add it there. But nonetheless, it is critical in Northeast Ohio for your home to have good windows, updated windows, because buyers want to see this. They understand the cost and they want to see this for insulation purposes with our cold winters. And we want to make sure that we're keeping the heat in. So the windows are a big one, and insulation, of course. Updated bathroom and kitchens. You're not looking at like huge overhauls. I think updated bathrooms and kitchens would probably be the most common nationally, right? I think everyone looks at that. I think those are things that really isn't location dependent. But I think those are huge for a lot of people, and especially here in Cleveland, I know it is because people don't know how to make those adjustments, those renovations, and people aren't always ready to buy a house and then spend on making that stuff. So I would say it's pretty critical and pretty important. But next, the functional basements or clean living spaces. So this is huge because for a couple reasons. Basements in Cleveland can be either hit or miss. You can either be walking into a Cleveland basement, a Lakewood basement, a house that's incredibly old, and have to duck the entire time. I've been in many of those where you're not standing tall, or I'm hitting my head on pipes, I'm hitting my head on other things, and it hurts. So these are things that people need to take into consideration, because if their laundry is down there, they're not more than likely going to want to purchase that. Now, you can't really change that. I mean, a functional basement, the only thing you can really change is where, if you can possibly bring up the laundry to the main or second floor, if there is one, because then they don't really need to go down there every single day. Sure, what's going to be a nice addition is that it becomes storage space, which is critical. People do look for that. They do need that. So to have that basement is important, and for it to be clean and dry is also important, and to be structurally sound is also important as well. So these are going to be things that you really need to take into consideration, because I personally wouldn't walk into a lot of these houses and be like, yeah, I want to do laundry down here 3 times a week or something, 4 times a week. Don't judge me if that's high or low. I get around to it when I can. Anyway, this is something that's going to be important. So think about it, consider it. If that's something that you were dealing with as a seller, that was a pain in your butt, then make the change, because it's going to happen with other buyers too. And they're going to look at the basement. They're going to have to crouch. They're going to have to adjust or change or move. All right. So keep that a part of it. Next up, strong curb appeal and landscaping. I would definitely say this is incredibly important because it goes a far way. I think, again, this is also more of a national one too, because any buyer is going to pull up to a house and look at the house and be excited when they see cleanliness, when they see a nice yard that they can picture upkeeping or adding their own plants and flowers to. and it's going to continue that excitement into the house. So maybe there's some things in the house that weren't adjusted, weren't changed, or there's some things that you couldn't take care of. Those are going to be they're going to at least have a better chance of being overlooked than being nitpicked because the outside wasn't as hot, wasn't as great, right? And then of course, modern lighting, fixtures, and hardware. So we didn't actually hit that stuff earlier. Those were kind of like the smaller mid upgrade things that you could do, right? Updating bedrooms or updating bathrooms, the light bathroom update. But this too, modern lighting, fixtures, hardware, things of that nature. So if you have an outdated, I don't know, let's just say you have a sink faucet that doesn't look the part, let's say, changing that out could be huge. Or, you know, updating the lighting, whether it's taking a chandelier that, you know, might have run in the family for years but is a little older looking, maybe change that out for something more modern. And again, you don't have to leave the chandelier with them. You can if you want, but just make sure that if you aren't including it, it's known. It needs to be known. You don't want to go back and forth about if it was staying or not. You know, we want to make sure that stuff is disclosed up front. It's easy peasy. You're not dealing with that stuff. But just giving this stuff a fresh feel, right? Making sure, I think a lot of Ohioans would love that stuff because, again, it goes along with the fact that a lot of people aren't always aware of how to do it, but at the same time, because of pricing, because where we're at, houses are a little bit more expensive, especially here in Cleveland, where we're creeping up, we're creeping up to match the national average. We're still not there, but we're starting to creep up to get there. People aren't used to the cost of homes here that grew up here. And so with that being said, a lot of people want to go into a house in Cleveland with it already being done. And I'm talking about the suburbs too. I'm not just talking about Cleveland proper. So they want to go into this house with that stuff already being done. Now it's different if you're in a state, in a city where your housing hasn't really changed a whole ton. So for someone to say a $500,000 home and to see what that gets them and to not be surprised by it, then great. Those are things maybe that those fixtures and hardware, you might not need to do it. And honestly, there's a city here called Strongsville where I would say that actually doesn't get a lot of those updates. The modern lighting, fixtures, hardware, it's a lot of people sell that house, in my eyes, outdated, and I'm surprised by what they get, but it is a hot spot, so I think that's the case. So again, depending on the demand for your house and where it is and the location, you can get away with some of these things, but these are going to be what most people are looking for in Cleveland, in my eyes, my experience as well. All right, you're a seller and you're trying to figure out where do you start. Well, let's talk about that. So just a strategic checklist or spending list to go ahead and get you in the right direction, the right order to make sure you're doing it properly. So this is what I would do. Number one, I would first fix structural and safety issues first. Okay, we didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about the cost because there's really no way for them to get national averages for this cost and for this stuff because it's not going to be the same everywhere. But when I talk about these, the roof, foundation, plumbing, electrical, fix these before any cosmetic upgrades. These scare people the most, right? So when someone comes in the house and sees this stuff, that's going to be the things that they're looking at the most. And they can be terrified by these updates. Buyers can 100%, they don't understand. Not everyone understands what it entails to do these things. And even if it's one of the most simple things, it doesn't matter. Like a structural thing, a foundation, if they see this on the inspection, if someone points it out, it is in their head and it's a scary thing. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, right? I mean, it does, but it's still in their head from the standpoint of foundation or structural or electrical plumbing. Like, oh my gosh, what do we have to do? Do we have to go behind the walls? Or do we have to cut everything out? Like, how do we take care of it? Blah, blah, blah. So it's a big thing. And as a seller, make sure you're doing this too in a cost-effective way. You're not looking to revamp everything, but for the most part, there's some updates that can definitely be made, or you can price the house accordingly, or you can offer a credit out the gate to the buyer to take care of some of this stuff, to take care of the roof. I wouldn't leave the foundation issue. I would 1000% take care of the foundation issue no matter what, because no one's coming through to take care of that, or they're gonna lowball you and you're not gonna like it. The foundation is a huge thing that would be found in an inspection. People are gonna find it, you know, when the agent, myself, and a buyer looks through the home or walk through the home, we'll see it. So the foundation is a huge aspect, but that's going to get you past that initial thing. Then they're going to want to purchase the home and they're going to write an offer. Now the other things, the plumbing, electrical a little bit, we can still see that on our walkthroughs. The roof can be difficult at times depending on the slope, the grade, everything, but the plumbing, roof, and sometimes the electrical are going to be things that are found during the inspection. So if you really want to get through the inspection period without having a headache, without having to negotiate back and forth, handling some of that stuff or already keeping it disclosed ahead of time, letting them know the age of the roof and the disclosures, you know, if they have the knowledge and the information and they put an offer in, you're not going to really have this issue through the inspection period. So I know this is a lot, but what I'm getting at is that even though these issues or these fixes can cost a lot, you also have ways around it if you want to make sure, and if you're okay pricing it at these prices, to ensure that they already know, the buyer, when they come into the house, what these ages are, what it looks like, and what it, you know, to expect, so that when the inspection comes through, if you guys go under contract, they don't have really anything to sit on because they came in and they wrote an offer already knowing this information. So keep that in mind too. All right, number 2, start with curb appeal. So that would be the next thing I would do, curb appeal. Again, we spoke about this already a ton. The buyer's excitement, we don't want to ruin that. We want to continue to have them riding that high when they walk through that front door. So getting that landscaping taken care of, making sure if they're in summertime that grass is cut, making sure that nothing's overgrown, that it looks nice. And the same thing with the house. We don't want the house to have moss. We don't want the house to look dirty. If it needs to be power washed, get it power washed. Do it yourself. I'll do it for you. I enjoy it, but make sure it's taken care of. You want it to be clean. The same thing with the driveway too. If the driveway needs to be power washed, do it. These are going to be critical things. Now, with that same breath, people do look at the cracks in the driveway. So if it's something that you can take care of, you know, advise. But if it's nothing that, you know, you have no idea where to start and it's way too expensive, don't worry about it. All right. Number 3, invest in updates with data-backed return on investment. So we spoke about this. That's going to be your garage door, your entry door, siding, minor kitchen. Again, dependent upon where you are and what people are looking at in your neighborhood. So we know the numbers, but do people care in your area? Do people, buyers in your city care, right? So again, depending, the entry door in Cleveland, well, especially the suburbs where you really don't see those doors, not going to be a huge issue. I would not tell you to put that money into it. Siding, yeah, I would consider that for sure because that's something that people look into constantly. Buyers definitely are very, very aware of that when they walk the house. That is something I would definitely advise. All right, next, avoid over customization, 100%. So I told you this already. If you are making upgrades or updates, your taste may not be what another buyer likes. So if you do opt into making things and to changing things, make sure it's neutral because you don't want to find out the hard way that you did this work to only figure out that people don't like it because, you know, it could definitely cause issues and people do not want it. It's like, well, I'm being charged for the renovation, but I don't like the renovation, so I'm gonna have to do it over again, spend more money to do it. Whereas if you just took it at where the kitchen was and either made it neutral or sold at a price that, you know, was the market value for that condition, they can make it their own. So yeah. And then finally, talking to a local agent. Again, this goes hand in hand with everything that I've been saying. Just ask, find your local agent to figure out what are those changes? What are those things that are going to fit your house, your neighborhood, where you're at? What are the buyers in that area looking for? Because that is critical. Again, we talked about the national numbers that matter, but those don't always translate to every single place, to every single city. So it's important to understand where you live and what people are looking for in your area. That's it, guys. So let me know what you thought. I'm very curious though to hear because like I said, things are different everywhere. So I'm curious, what are like the big returns that you see in your area? And I just want to kind of look at it and see what people have and how it differs per city or per state and things of that nature. I'd just be very curious. It's just, I don't know, it's interesting to me. But nonetheless, just make sure that you're making the right decisions on these updates before you sell that so that you're not breaking the bank, so that you're not wasting money and making the changes that the buyers will actually pay for. So the value isn't just about looks, it's about your return on investment, the buyer appeal, and of course the market expectations. So understanding all of that will really guide you into knowing what it is that you should be doing to make sure that your house is ready to go and ready to sell and to get the highest price and to get that return, right? If you guys want any help, whether you're in state, out of state, you're looking to Cleveland, just reach out, shoot me a text, give me a call. I'll be happy to either help you here locally. I'll be happy to connect you with a top agent where you are to make sure that you guys get that sale complete for top dollar, or anything else. If you want to send me pictures, I'll be happy to help you guys in any way I can. That's what I'm here for, but I really hope that you guys got a lot of information on this. Again, please hit the subscribe button, share the video, hit the bell. Let me know what you want to know about more, what you want to know about next, and of course, leave some comments below about what you found fascinating. What is it like for you in your area? What's the most important change that you see in your neighborhood? And just let me know if I can help you in any way. But nonetheless, thank you for staying tuned for this video, being here. Let me know what you want to hear about next and stay tuned for the next video. Have a great day. Talk soon.